And welcome to another edition of Coexist. And I am your host, Co Lewis. Get it? The COE, Coexist, Co Lewis. And it all comes together. And this is Conversation for Conservation. A little background about this show and who I am and how I got into this whole field of conservation and, everything that goes with it. I was raised in Ethiopia on a game reserve. I have a deep love and commitment to wildlife. I've had it since a kid. And later on in life, I had a 35-year career in radio, and I used that platform to parlay into having a foundation. I'm a co-founder of a foundation called Nsefu Wildlife, and you can check it out at Nsefu, NSEFU.org. And I'm also co-owner of a safari lodge in Zambia called Zikomo Safari. So I have built my life around wildlife and trying to protect it. And the purpose of this show is to be a voice for other great organizations and people in the world who are changing the world. They identified a crisis, they saw a problem, and they said, you know what? I'm going to do something about this. I'm going to alter my life dramatically, and I'm going to try to change the world. And I'm so excited because my friend Sangita Iyer is our special guest today. And she has, where do I start with you, Sangita? Welcome. Thank you for fitting me in your crazy schedule. Even in COVID, you're one of the busiest women in the world of conservation. You're an award-winning filmmaker, environmental journalist, broadcast journalist. You write. You were the director and producer of the multi-award-winning Gods and Shackles. That's where I met you, actually, when I was invited to MC your screening in Balboa Park. And that was one of the most powerful, gut-wrenching, moving experiences on film. And I was in the audience with other people. And I think we sat there with our mouths open, like, you think you know about certain things. And we're talking about the temple elephants. You don't know it until you see the behind the scenes. So we're going to talk about that movie. And you're also the co-founder of Voices for Asian Elephant Society. So not only are you an award-winning movie producer, you run a foundation. So let's start with how you and I met and this powerful movie called Gods and Shackles. And what is it about? Because you were born in India. You experienced the life and the festivities of seeing temple elephants beautifully adorned for big cultural and religious experiences. And somewhere along the line, you said, something's not right here. This is an illusion, and it's time for me to pull back the curtain and show what's really going on. So walk me through your early life, and when was that connect with elephants and the inspiration for this film?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on board. It's wonderful to reconnect with a long lost friend and a soul
Yay.
sister. And I just think you are so incredibly special in the kind of work that you do. And that, beyond that, you take the time to also connect with people who are doing good work. And it's profoundly moving for me. And my eyes are swelling with tears because
Oh my gosh, thank you.
I just think you're precious. So I just wanted to acknowledge that first. And secondly, where did everything begin for me? When I was born and raised in India, actually specifically in the state of Kerala, which is where the festival elephants are exploited for profit behind the veil of culture and religion. Of course, when I was a child growing up in Kerala, my grandparents used to take me to this amazing temple where I met this majestic bull elephant. I was only about 3 years old. And when I turned a teenager, my grandmother reminded me, that I would ask her questions even as a child, that how come that elephant has shackles on his leg, and why don't I have shackles on my leg? So my grandmother, my sweetheart, she went and bought me anklets, and she said, look, you have shackles now. And so she tied it around my ankles. And then I said, but no, those elephants, their legs are tied together and mine are not. And so when I became a teenager, my grandma said, I really did not know how to respond to that question. So this connection had actually been ingrained in my mind right from the age of 3. Little did I know at the time that I would be myself a shackled elephant. What I mean by that is, we all go through different experiences as children. I was culturally shackled, and I had a very difficult childhood upbringing. And all of this came to the fore after I moved to Canada. I had to go through a tremendous healing process. A lot of people travel to India for healing, whereas I traveled to Canada, and I love this home of mine, my adopted home. And this is where I found therapy in nature, and I healed there. And this is when everything came together. In 2013, what happened is that I had returned to India for my father's first death anniversary. And something triggered in me, and it was almost like an intuitively guided journey that I just, kind of, instead of going back to my mom's place where the ceremony was supposed to take place, the anniversary, I just veered off, and I went to a place in southern India, and, I reconnected with a conservationist, and I said, I want to go and see some elephants. And lo and behold, on my journey to seeing the elephants, we got a distress call saying that a bull elephant has fallen into a trench. A trench is something that is created to separate, the forest and, the villages where people live, in order to avoid human-elephant conflict. But it didn't work because this beautiful, magnificent bull elephant, he slipped and he fell into the trench because of the heavy downpour in monsoon season. That's when this whole thing, flashback, came back to me. And it was actually my own home. It all happened in the state of Kerala. It's as if my father's spirit guided me back to my purpose in life.
That exact moment of seeing an elephant in crisis. That's a very fateful thing that drives you there.
Yeah, exactly. And so when that happened, I was blown away because thousands upon thousands of people had gathered to rescue this elephant and return him into the forest. The first thought that occurred to me was, if this had happened in Africa, they would have just shot the elephant and butchered the tusks and, sold it for the illicit ivory trade. And then I turned to my conservation friend and I said, wow, this is amazing. He said, well, you got to really see what happens to the temple elephants. I thought it was going to be wonderful. And I said, sure, I want to come and visit, because everything had, after moving to Canada, you had moved on with your life, with your career, and I became a broadcaster in Canada, and then I lived in Bermuda for 9 years, where I was also a television news anchor, and life just, took its course. And so when this guy said that, I said, sure, I'll return in December. Within 6 months, I returned to India, and guess what? I was devastated to see the way the captive elephants were being treated. They had massive tumors on their hips, blood oozing out of their ankles because the shackles had cut right into their flesh, tears flowing down their face. And I just, luckily I had a camera because I'm also a videographer, so I started filming whatever I witnessed, so many blind elephants being paraded. And I returned home with about 25 hours of footage. And of course, I attended my father's ceremony after that. But when I returned home, I was more devastated about, the plight of elephants than losing my own father. And I know it sounds kind of callous, but it's not, because their suffering, I feel like, is my own suffering, personal suffering. I took it so to heart. And I contacted with like a media person, an anchor man called Bill Hutchison, who's a really popular Toronto anchor, and I worked at CTV for some time. So I told him, listen, I have 25 hours of footage. I don't know how am I going to present this? I just don't have the money to make a film, but I know something needs to be done for these elephants. And then he said, okay,
that compelling feeling, Sangita, that compelling feeling is like, it's so strong. It's like, I can't think of anything else but changing and exposing this. Like the drive in you when you find your passion in whatever it is in life, it's so deep in you and it's so strong. You know there is no other thing you can do but that thing. And I really love that about the people that I've met on this show is that there's this core drive and they see a wrong and they will do anything it takes to make it right. And that's what you were going through.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for articulating it so beautifully because that's exactly what it is. Because I almost became obsessive that I was actually engulfed by these thoughts as to something needs to be done. And of course, when you have that kind of a passion for a cause, providence paves the way. It's just the case. It's just the way it happens. It's like the universe just opened up these beautiful doors, and the perfect people were aligned on my path, the perfect camera person, the perfect editor, the perfect sound mixer for the price that I could afford, and we just brought this movie together. Speaking of which, as a follow-up to that movie, I'll tell you something, another story which I didn't get a chance to share with you, Koi. The thing is, I actually have recently produced a 26-part short documentary series for the National Geographic Society.
Look at you in your spare time, even during COVID, you're doing great things. And there's something I forgot to mention. Again, my guest here is Sangita Iyer. She's an amazing woman who's doing spectacular things for the benefit of Asian elephants, the temple elephants, begging elephants, the wild elephants, all of it. One thing I forgot to mention is that you received the highest award for women making a difference from the president of India. I just thought I would throw that in there because that happens to most people every day of their life. Not, what a huge accolade and well deserved. So not only are you you're not resting on your laurels with Gods and Shackles, you're pushing forward now. So you have a 26-part documentary. And when is this coming out? And what's the name of it?
It's called, okay, so just to kind of address what you talked about, the presidential award, I am deeply humbled and honored. I just want to say that it is so deeply humbling that it almost becomes a burdensome responsibility because now I have to live up to the award that I received, and I thrive. I thrive on that, and I do my best to make sure that I deliver on the accolades, not just gather it, like you said, and just not do anything with it. So the name of the series, and it's a short series exclusively made for social media, because these are short, like 5 to 7 minutes long. These are not long documentary series. And the name of the series is called Project Asian Elephants 101, and it's basically describing from the scratch the biology, the ecology of elephants, their society, their magnificent bonding, and the way they communicate. I have, again, it's like I just embarked on that mission in February of 2019. And I just 2 days back, I delivered the 26-part series to the National Geographic Society.
That's
and I
fabulous.
said, here you go. And you're right.
I just gave birth to 26 babies, individual babies. I mean, it's probably what it felt like. I had like a 5-year labor. Here you go. Enjoy. Here's my baby. Yeah, it probably felt like that. It was so much work probably putting that all together.
So much work, and I did the work of like 7 people because again, I always, one of the things that I'm learning not to do is to not underestimate myself, not under budget myself. I always do that, and I end up never paying myself, and I end up saying, okay, it's all for elephants, but at some point, that's what I'm doing now, taking a step back, and I'm saying, okay, how do we bring to life this Voice for Asian Elephants Society that I had actually founded in 2016, but it only got started only in 2018 because for the first 2 years I was busy promoting the documentary. As you know, you and I, we met in 2016, and of course we've stayed in touch thanks to social media, right? And so 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 over the last 2 years, which is 2018 and 19, I when I just thought, okay, I'm going to pay attention to this National Geographic Society award fell on my lap, and the award is called Making a Case for Nature Award. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to use that award to produce the series, right? Which is what I did. And so once that is done, now I'm focusing on Voice for Asian Elephant Society. And one of the things we're going to be doing is we're going to be having an online screening of Gods in Shackles in November. And I'll keep you posted on the details if you're interested.
Oh, absolutely.
We're doing this online screening, and it is a fundraiser screening because I've also launched a campaign side by side, which is to purchase flashlights for villagers. Because, you talked about the fact that, we look after wild and captive elephants. So Gods and Shackles address the captive elephant situation. Project Asian Elephants 101 addresses the wild and captive elephant plight because, as you may or may not know, the Indian population in India is approximately 1.38 billion, and it's exploding by the day. And the thing is, the 78% of the landmass of the landscape is shared between wildlife and people. So naturally, human wildlife conflict is exacerbating because humans have encroached
on everything, and it's happening in our area. We're in the Nasefu sector, and the village is creeping into the reserve and the game management area, and you're having human animal conflict, and the animal always loses in these cases. And so this is a real issue because everybody is supposed to share this earth. It's not just ours. I hate to announce it to everybody and shock them, but this isn't just our earth. We share it with others. And these are real issues that in Asia, in all parts of the world, human animal conflict is really because of this crazy encroachment that's going on. So the flashlights help the villagers, and it keeps elephants safe, keeps people safe. What are the uses they're using them for?
So what's happening is that, in a state called West Bengal, they have vast areas of tea plantations. And of course, these plantations did not sprout now. They have been there since the British Raj. And so what these people have done is they've simply expanded the existing tea plantations, which is a lot. Like I said, in West Bengal, it's like a really small landmass, and there are 91 million people living in that small, tiny state. And just to provide you some perspective, in the United States, you have some 35 or 350 million people, okay? Whereas in India, you have 1.38 billion, which is almost like more than 3 times larger than the United States, but the area is 3 times smaller than the United States. So you can just imagine like the crazy conflict that occurs, and yet there is no plan, or everything becomes like, the minute you talk about birth control, it becomes a religious controversial issue, it becomes a political issue. Nobody has the guts or the fortitude to say, this is what we need, this is the need of the hour, just control childbirth. Simple.
I mean, and it's not like you're picking on anybody, but this is just a fact. Food will run out. That's why poverty is so rampant there, is because it's the number of people. You know what I mean? It's just the sheer numbers. The math lends itself to it. So you're right. So the human animal conflict is happening. And let me ask you, let me go back before we go on that thought. I don't want to lose something I thought about. So since Gods in Shackles came out, and it's been what, 5 years now? 5 years.
4.
Have you seen a change in the temple elephant industry since you blew that industry wide open and it wasn't pretty to see behind the scenes? Have we seen positive movement? What's going on in that arena?
So the public in Kerala are more aware now than ever before, and there's a massive public debate happening. which is fantastic. Then what we had also done was we had provided, they have this Kerala captive elephant management, guidelines. So we went right ahead and we modified a few things, and we said it's not just the guidelines. You need to not only have, you know, you shall do this or you shall not do this, but we need to tell them, if you do this, this is what is going to happen. The consequences were grossly missing. So we put in some stuff there saying, if you do this, you're going to face the consequences of blah, blah, blah. So ever since then, at least 5 or 6 elephants have been confiscated because
Oh, good.
yeah, and they are now in the government-run elephant camps, and I have visited those elephants. And of course, the elephant owners are facing a major setback because of COVID. It's almost like even Mother Nature is retaliating and telling them, stop this nonsense against my creations. I
Yeah.
know it sounds so esoteric, but how else can you describe this? This was the first year in the decades that these festivities have been running that they did not have it. And Kerala is one of the most afflicted places. There are lots of people suffering from COVID even now. I'm sorry. I really want all of them to heal, and I feel terrible, but it's really worth taking a step back and reflecting and thinking, why is this happening?
I feel like God has put the whole planet on pause. Like, okay, step back,
Yeah,
take a look at what's really going on in the world,
yeah,
what matters,
yeah,
what doesn't matter. And
yeah.
it's a friendly reminder that what I've given you, I can take away just like that. And you're right. It is a time to look. And, as much as I was supposed to be in Zambia this summer working, those plans changed. But, I was frustrated at first, but I thought, no, there's a reason this is all happening.
Exactly.
Now, tell me, you said because of COVID, there's something really bad going on with elephants and have been in the past couple of months. So what's going on and what's happening to be, how are they fixing this problem if they are?
Yeah, so they're not fixing the problem because the problem is really an interconnected problem, and they are not addressing the root cause of the issue, which is poverty. So what is happening is this, and I'll tell you something very honestly, and I'll confess that for a long, long time I continue to think of elephants, 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 elephants. But now when I launched this Flash the Lights for to save the elephants of India. What that is, and I'll come back to your question regarding what's happening with the COVID, but because it is interconnected, flashlights, it's like villagers living near the forest fringes, especially, I was talking about this massive tea plantations. The owners are fine, but the workers who work there, they start very early in the morning, they finish work very late at night, and it's, she just wants to say hello to you. Oh, God.
Well, I didn't know I was going to have 2 stars on the show. Okay. I can't handle all the stardom going, hey, I love that.
She just wants to say hello, and
She
she
wants to say hi. She knows I love cats.
I know, and she loves the attention. But
Oh, of course.
so so I was saying that, so these workers, they are so poor that they don't even have, the resources to purchase flashlights. And why flashlights? Because when they step out or when they're traveling, returning home at night or coming back to work early in the morning, they always come in contact with elephants, and it is still dark, so elephants are unaware that humans are there, and humans are unaware that elephants are there, and both of them, they sort of like startle each other, and then the conflict happens and they kill humans, and then there are retaliatory killings that happen.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so
So that's where it's coming from.
yeah, so it's like, if you have a flashlight, elephants, they can see that there's light, and humans can see if there are elephants, and then stop, and then just say, okay, we'll let them pass and take a step back, and just give them the space, let them walk away, and then we take a step further, right? So that it's almost like it really, it sounds so simplistic, but it has been working in different villages that they're implementing by providing the absolute basic necessities to the villagers. So
I'm writing this down for our foundation because, again, kind of a similar situation. We're based in Nasefu sector in Zambia. They burn a lot because they want a clearing to be able to see animals approaching and stuff like that. And there are human animal conflicts. I mean, we lost a young man to a lion the other day.
Yeah.
And so this is a real problem, but something as simple as flashlights for a village can help immensely. It's so little, and we take it so for granted here in the Western world. Oh, flashlights! Well, I got 12 in my drawer. You know what? Those 12 flashlights actually can save wildlife. That can stop extinction, because these animals are in a trajectory of extinction. So that's a good idea, and I'm writing it down because I'm going to steal your idea and your the 101 class. That 101 class, I'm loving that too.
Yeah, thank you.
Asian Elephants 101. I'm going to steal that idea too.
Project Asian Elephants 101. Yeah. So you're welcome to, and everything I do is intended to be shared. And if it can help anybody, they need to apply it for the sake of the wildlife, right? At the end of the day, flashlights they are the first line of defense. That's it. It's as simple as that. As something as simple as just flashing the light and kind of, showing the elephants, hey, we are here. Then the elephants say, oh, okay, we're going to step back and remain in the bushes until you guys leave, or we wait for them to leave, right? And so that's the idea of flashlights. Now, coming to this retaliatory killings and the COVID massacre, right? And so what happened is between May and June, at least about 35 elephants have been massacred within like a span of 30 days, and by electrocution, by way of poaching. Poaching is but the worst of them all is one elephant or few elephants actually, they were they actually consumed a coconut laden with explosives, and they used dynamite, which is illegal in India. So this poor elephant, she consumed it, and the thing exploded in her mouth, and the poor elephant was suffering so much.
And for days, I remember the story. For days,
I'll tell you why she suffered for 15 days, though. But the audacity of the people in that plantation, which was actually illegally, the plantation was illegal in a protected area. So essentially, this particular incident blew the lid on the illegalities that go on this happened in Kerala as well. So the person drove away the elephant, telling get out, because he didn't want anybody to know. The poor yeah, he just wanted to cover it up. But the poor elephant, she went into the forest, but she could not take the pain anymore. She had to come back to the lake or the river or the pond that was next to the plantation, right? And so I'm sorry.
It adds a little extra to the show. I love it.
And so she had to come, and she stood in the water for 15 days simply to cool off. That's how much her
and she was pregnant.
And she was pregnant. And when they conducted the postmortem, they found a 3-month-old fetus, and it's just so gut-wrenching.
It's so wrong, and that story distressed me so much. I know it got a lot of attention, and it unfortunately, in this awful world we live in, sometimes a sacrifice of something so beautiful and innocent like this mother elephant might wake people up. Like, really, you thought that was the solution for this? And I'm glad it blew the lid on the illegal plantation. I know that they went after the people who did it, and I hope there are consequences.
Well, so the person who detonated, who put this, is being investigated. However, the two owners, who actually put the worker in front to do what they told him to do, are still absconding. So at the end of the day, they are still at large, and I'm 100% sure that they're and this is no anyway, I don't want to get into what they belong to, where they're hiding or whatever, but it'll become a whole religious issue if I
But you know what? That's the power of social media. The social media, if you're relentless in calling these people out,
yeah,
their day will come and it won't be pretty. And I'm sorry, some people just deserve it, and these people deserve it because they're trying to run
yeah,
from a heinous act that was really not necessary. And you know what? If you do that, you're going to pay. So let social media for a change do something really good and
exactly,
go after the bad guys. So
exactly.
if anything you need me to share on that thing, I'll do it, and all my listeners, and I'll have Nasefu share it and other organizations, because those bad people have to go. We have to show people that if you do stuff like this,
Yeah,
if you injure, abuse, kill illegally, we're dealing with illegal poachers, illegal hunting, smuggling, there have got to be consequences. There
absolutely.
have to be consequences because these animals, the trajectory, when I lived in Ethiopia, late 60s, early 70s, I lived half the year, half the week on a game reserve with my parents. There were 10 million elephants in Africa when I was there. We have under 300,000.
Yeah,
Extinction is happening, and you have so many organizations who are desperately trying to help stop this. But you have criminal syndicates with endless money.
yeah,
They come in, they prey on poverty. They probably do it in India as well.
of
Pay
course.
somebody a few bucks. Hey, get me that elephant, get me that tiger, here's some cash. And when they take off, when the ivory or rhino horn or tiger bones are gone, people can't even believe how much they go for on the black market. Then
Exactly.
on top of it, people need to make the connection. You may say, well, gosh, that's just black market. No, that money, 66% of funding for terrorist groups comes from the illegal wildlife trade.
Exactly.
So you better know that your security of your home and your country
Yeah,
is really in jeopardy because these crime syndicates, they don't care. So
yeah,
you know what? We have to start hammering the people who are bad. So
yeah, yeah.
whatever we need to do, we do.
Absolutely. Wildlife trafficking and terrorism are so interconnected. But that's the whole thing. Chief Seattle, he said, man did not weave this web of life. We are but a strand. And that's exactly who we are. And the thing is, human beings are considered to be highly intelligent. But when you really meet elephants, you feel embarrassed
Yeah.
because they they're not only intelligent but they're intuitive, and they are so reflective in the way they act, in the way they behave. Even though you as an alien are on their path, in their way, they still show that tremendous respect. If you show respect to them, they reciprocate. And that's what I've experienced, and those are some of the stories that I share in Project Asian Elephants 101. I really can't wait to have this come out. It's coming out sometime in November, hopefully early, or I'm sorry, late November or early December. So yeah, I'll keep you posted on that as well. And we'll be launching like one segment at a time. And I'm just waiting for National Geographic to come back to me and say how we go about launching this. So I'm really excited about that. And we are also going to be launching many more programs because, again, as I had mentioned earlier, I was at a point in time when I would do everything for elephants and nothing for humans.
You're like, I haven't cleaned my house in 3 years, but hey, the
Yeah,
elephants are doing better. I get it. I get it. I I feel like I'm talking to myself. You just have dark hair. I feel like, oh, I'm just talking to myself. Like I have neglected my whole life because I have something so much bigger to do.
yeah.
So I get it. So what are you doing now?
Yeah, yeah. So at the yeah, exactly. So at the end of the day, what I've learned is that if I don't look after the humans living in the vicinity of the forest, and if we don't educate them, if we don't give them the absolute basic necessities, we cannot save elephants. Because the reality is, as I mentioned earlier, 78% of the landscape is shared between humans and wildlife, right? And in tea plantations, there are so many leopards as well. It's a fantastic bush for them to hide, and they give birth to babies in the tea plantations because it's really nice and protected and cozy for them. However, elephants are way too enormous, and so they actually use the tea plantations as corridors to move between forest patches, because now forests have become patchy because humans have encroached and they have decimated the contiguous forests, the vast forest areas where elephants used to roam freely. One of the things I wanted to quickly mention is, you had mentioned that there are approximately 300,000 African elephants. There are less than 40,000 Asian elephants on the whole planet. On the whole planet.
40,000.
Exactly, less than 40,000, and fully 60% of them, that is 27,000 plus, are in India. This is why I'm fighting so hard for the elephants of India, because there's, again, one of the things that I found is that, there's this very it's very paradoxical. The paradoxes are so stark. On the one hand, they hate the same elephants that they revere, because, elephants are considered to be the embodiment of Lord Ganesh. That is a Hindu god with elephant face. And so a lot of people do revere elephants. However, the younger generation who have nothing better to do, they are engaged in all kinds of vicious activities. Technology, is advancing rampantly, but at the same time, they're misusing technology, and they're completely out of touch with the reverence that the tribal people had for elephants, and tribal communities' own children are turning out to be wicked and violent.
Well, the social media, I was saying a few minutes ago, you can use it for good, but if I have to be honest with you, I think it's the end of Earth. I think so, since social media has happened. I mean, the greed, the black hearts, the evil, the pettiness, the shallowness. I mean, it's all just it's just dripping from social media, and it's really toxic in so many ways. And these kids are becoming soulless. They're so detached from everything. If it's not on a screen, they don't even know how to interact socially in person anymore. So something I wanted to share with you, when you were talking about tackling dealing with the community to make it better for the elephants, that is something that we did from the very beginning. And if I can share a few things that you can take and run with.
Sure.
What was one of the things we did is, when Victory Wallace, my co-founder, and I started this, we said the community has to be involved or it's not going to work. It's not going to take. So we came in as a community partner. We didn't come in and boss them around. It's their country. Hey, stop poaching. Don't do that. What? It's not our country. That would be bad manners, and it's not right.
Of course.
So we went in as a friend. We have a great relationship with Senior Chief Nasefu, who we really, really love. And he's become an amazing leader in the community. And we built a classroom for Shabwera, because poverty is it's one of the poorest areas in all of Africa, this sector. So this classroom was built, and we said, when we do this classroom, wildlife education is mandatory. So everybody's like, great. So then we put conservation clubs in all the local schools, and all the kids signed up. They want to be part of it. So we're getting them at the youngest age. We're showing them to look at their wildlife differently from beasts of burden or pests. And we're showing them that this is the future of your country. You protect this, and everybody will come to see how beautiful and lucky you are to live in this country. So by offering economic opportunities like beekeeping and sewing, people realize, oh, okay, this is a team effort here, and it's really working. So anything that we can help you with ideas, because we've failed on certain things, so you don't fail, learn from us. Anything that we can impart with your project over there, like what happened when you did this? Did that work? Ask us, and we'd be happy to share. Absolutely, because that'll make it work faster than anything you doing it.
Absolutely. Thank you. And thank you for bringing that up, because we have partnered with a grassroots organization based in West Bengal. And so whatever we do, we kind of work with them. And all of the things that you had suggested in terms of, empowering the students and going into schools. But I really love the idea of creating a school itself. And that was one of the things, like there's this green school concept in Bali, Indonesia, that is a huge hit. And I'm trying to connect with the founder of that particular school and see if there's something like that we can bring to India also. And so, yeah, educating them and getting them right at the young age and empowering and having this whole, and this is one of the things that our education system has so grossly failed at, is not connecting the dots. It's all about economy. It's all about IT. It's all about grades. But again, they don't integrate everything. And ecology has to be part of, everything you do. Even when you do your PhD, it has to be a part. It has to be mandatory. Because without the earth, what's the point in having a business?
Yeah. Well, seriously. And here's another thing to share with you and share with our viewers and listeners. And this is going to be something you're going to be amazed about. So Vic had a great idea. She said, let's take the kids from all the different schools, like, 15 kids twice a month on a game drive in the national park.
Yeah.
These kids have never been in their own national park. And their eyes are wide open when an elephant's there, a zebra, a giraffe. They are amazed. We make them some lunch. We talk to them. We share things. It's a few hours. They have snacks on the trip. And then when they get back, we have lunch for them. So they're getting a full day with their teachers and learning about their park. And they're blown away. You assume the kids in the area know about the forest. No, not really. They don't. So take them out exploring and make it a big adventure for them. And believe me, all the kids are like, I want to go. I want to go to the next one. I mean, it's a hit. It's a big hit. And nobody had done that. It was a great idea.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I just love that idea too. And, last year we provided a course. It's called Project Asian Elephants 101 for the youth of Kerala, and we had like experiential learning, and it's not for any single youth. It was for the student police cadet, because these are the people who will become police officers, right? So it was not for they'll become, so when they are young and they become the cadets, you just train them. So it was a week-long experiential learning program where the first day was all about theory, the second day was about intermingling and using this world cafe style, getting together, discussing, and then coming up with solutions. And then we had 2 days of experiential learning where we took them to this government-run elephant camp. It was definitely not the forest that I would have loved to take them into, because in India it's very restricted when you do it legally, but illegally it still happens, and that's what blows my mind away.
I can't get in with my official pass, but if I want to go in and poach, sure, come on in.
Exactly.
What?
Yeah. So it was really such a huge success, and we have created a WhatsApp group, and we connect with each other on a daily basis.
That is awesome.
Yeah, and they're
stealing that idea too. Student cadet. I'm stealing that one too.
We can exchange ideas.
Yeah.
And I can share with you, what we did with experiential learning if you want. No problem.
That's awesome. So that's good. So voicesforasianelephants.org. So it's VF as in Frank, AES.org. Yes. You can see everything that your organization is doing. And I mean, that student cadet thing is a brilliant idea. I mean, that's a brilliant idea. But again, it's rare that you get to meet somebody like Sangita. And I've met many. My industry has introduced me to some of the biggest names in the world of music and entertainment. But I have to tell you, I think basically you're a rock star in every sense of the word, because not only because you're coming from such a good space of truly wanting to change the world. I want I want especially young women to feel inspired by this show as well, and any woman out there. I want everybody to be inspired by this show, because this you when you think that the world feels out of control, like, what can I do? How can I change anything? I'm just one person. Well, if you look at history, somebody said, you know what, this is wrong. I have to do something about it. I don't have any idea how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it. And I want people to, if you want to email me at coe@nasefu.org. If you want to reach out to Sangita, I will forward that information. If there's anybody if you just want to find out how can I help, I love animals. What do I do? What areas should I go in? Because we have a very finite amount of time if we're going to save so many species. If you saw how many species we're losing a year, you'd be up all night. I'm up all night as it is.
Yeah.
But when you see what's happening, if you've ever seen a victim of poaching in person, you will never be the same person again. You will never see it once you see a victim of poaching and you see an orphaned baby elephant or a baby rhino crying over the mother, trying to wake the mother up, pushing the mother, and not understanding. And when you deal with these animals who are so social that, they stay with their mother forever. I mean, they stay with them forever. I mean, the matriarch and the children stay together a long time. The bulls go off on their own and they're solitary. But the family unit of an elephant herd is so strong. The dynamics are just so locked in. So many of these babies die of sheer grief.
Exactly.
Of grief.
Exactly.
That's it. They will themselves to die because they can't imagine and exist without their mother. So this is going on in the world. And if you're thinking, hey, I'm in this part of the world, what can I do? You know what? Support organizations. And that's why I started this show. Support organizations that are on the ground using your donation money wisely. Like, you can see where that dollar is going. Lord knows Sangita and I are not making any money. In fact, it's going quite the opposite. It's like it's going that way, our money. But go with organizations that are on the ground, really creating change and making that dollar stretch into 20 and being really impactful and smart. And she's tackling it from all angles, from media, movies, an organization, creating the student cadet program. You're coming from it at all sides. That's the organization you want to support.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I just wanted to mention, people who feel, what can I do? I really believe each and everybody has some kind of talent, skills, or capacity. What is it that you have that you can contribute? You don't have to be a filmmaker. You don't have to be a singer, but you do have quality. Don't tell me that God has created you just like a, zombie. You're not a zombie. Everybody, what is it? You need to take some time to sit down, reflect on what are your talent, skills, and capacity. If you're an accountant, maybe an organization needs an accountant. If you are a lawyer, maybe there are legal things that we can do for wildlife, so nothing, no qualification is wasted. And if you're totally not qualified to do anything, if you feel you're not educated, you can be on the ground and help us using your language skills. At least you speak the local language. So don't ever feel helpless or inadequate. That's one thing I wanted to say. And people can also reach us by sending us an email to support@vfaes.org, and one of our volunteers will respond. So that's not a problem at all. And last but not least, I also wanted to quickly mention about, you talked about the grief that elephants face. They are such empathetic creatures, because we managed to get video of an elephant who was not even the mother of this baby elephant, who was actually left behind by her herd because this elephant was wounded. So this adult elephant, she saw this baby elephant and she's like, oh my God, I can't leave you alone here. And she comes and she stands right next to the baby elephant and she pushes with the trunk, she pushes with the leg. Come on, wake up, wake up, wake up.
Come on, baby, let's do it. Let's go. Yeah.
And the baby was, I can't. Later on, it was discovered that a tiger had attacked the baby, and obviously the baby died. But this was the first time they ever recorded empathy being expressed by Asian elephants. There are such rare images, rare footage that we have obtained. I also got shots of elephant mating, which is again a rare footage.
It's raining, but I got it. You're probably like, should I be watching this, or I'll just hold my camera up, or what do I do? Awkward.
The thing is, it's like they don't care. It's not like invading their privacy. They just do it. They just do it in open, and it was just amazing the way this gentle bull pursued this young female, and she's like, no, I'm not ready yet. And
I'm not interested. You'll have to work harder for me.
And you see the personalities, right? It's like you just kind of connect with how similar they are to humans.
Oh, yeah.
And then you see a massive family, a herd that are bathing together in a pool, and how, the little ones, they are so respectful of their elders. They would not step into the water until the matriarch first stepped in. So I have obtained all this footage so people see that these are not only intelligent and social animals, but they're also incredibly respectful, that that they are so compassionate and patient. Unbelievably patient. So there are so many qualities we can learn from these beautiful elephants. So
I've said it a few shows ago. I'm sure the Asian elephants do it, but I'm not actually sure. African elephants, when there's a loss of a herd member, a beloved herd member, they may travel hundreds of kilometers away. Yeah. But they will come back to those bones. They know exactly where that loved one died, and they will sway and rumble and moan for hours, touching the bones, paying respect. We're here. We love you. We miss you. And they'll stay there for hours, and then they'll go on, and they'll come back every year. Whoop, right over. It's a magical thing. And to see somebody hurting or maiming, or just what's going on with all wildlife, the absolute disregard, shame on us. I mean, shame on us. So this is your show to find your voice, to meet people who are changing the world. They might be in your area. You can help, whatever it is, because all these organizations and Voices for Asian Elephants, we all need your help. And especially in COVID time. Oh my God. I think maybe we've raised $5. I mean, it's really hard. And I'm worried about a lot of nonprofits going under because your funding, because it's so slim. So please, if you can possibly help, you're not just changing one life, you're changing many lives by supporting.
Yeah. And in the end, you're not only changing the lives of animals or the non-humans, you're changing the lives of humans indirectly, because our own survival depends on the survival of these keystone species. That is really important for people to understand. It's like if elephants disappear, ecosystems will collapse. And this is not a conjecture. This is scientific fact.
Absolutely.
Because elephants wander across vast areas for hours on end, and they disperse seeds in their dung, and seeds become trees, and trees give us oxygen to breathe and take up the carbon dioxide that we put into the atmosphere. So you can imagine the significance, the ecological significance of these keystone species. So it's not just that, you're saving elephants, and some people say, oh, well, I can't save myself. How can I save elephants? Well, if you don't save elephants, you're not going to save yourself anyway. And
your kids will have no future, because there's going to be nothing left on the planet. So here, kids, this is what I've left you. Enjoy.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And so what kind of planet are we going to leave behind for our future generations? If you sat back and asked that question, then, you'll be inspired to help any organization that you choose.
Well, it's been this hour flew by, Sangita. I could talk to you for hours and hours, and I hope you come join me again for another show, because we want to hear everything that's going on. So again, you've got a 26-part documentary docuseries for the National Geographic Society. So we want to hear that when that's going to be available and we can see it. Again, if you have a chance to see the movie Gods in Shackles, grab some Kleenex. It's a hard watch, but it's an inspiring watch. And this is where you can be aware, and from that point on, you can say, hey, I'm aware of that situation. This is what we need to do to fix it, and be empowered by it. So again, the website for you is VFAES.org. It stands for Voices for Asian Elephants.org. Sangita Iyer is my rock star friend, and thank you for squeezing me in. I know you travel all the time, and I got you for this moment. I'm like, I'm going to grab her right now so she can't leave me, because you're always doing stuff. You're always going everywhere. And a pleasure. I'm so glad we connected again. And thank you from the bottom of my heart and for everybody for all the work you're doing, because it's a hard job, and it's an emotional job. And I applaud you, and you just rock our world, girl. You rock our world.
Well, right back at you, because you're doing the same thing, right? Because you're also, putting out your emotions, your heart and soul into the work that you do to protect the elephants of Africa and the animals of Africa. So same, right back at you, because we're
thanks,
all
dear.
on this path together. So let's hope that we can heal our planet.
That's right, and inspire some people. So again, thank you so much for joining me. Again, my name is Co Lewis, my special guest, Sangita Iyer. I want to thank my friends at IQ Podcast, because without them, this wouldn't happen. They inspired me to do this, and I'm glad I did. So if you've got any questions, feel free to email me at coe@nsefu.org. That's NSEFU.org. Sangita, have fun in Canada. Be safe.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye. Big hug to you too.
Hugs, and hugs to all of you. Thank you so much for watching the show and the podcast. And I appreciate you, and I love you, and I'll see you in 2 weeks. Thanks.
Bye-bye. Thank you.